Good morning and welcome. I thought I would just jump on here quickly and explain a little bit about something that I get asked a lot in my practice. So, I do a technique called myofascial release, which is a slow form of fascial release, working with the connective tissue in the body. And this is very much related to um, where we store emotional tension, physical trauma and tension, and it affects our ability to move well. It affects our ability for flow of fluids in our body. So it's kind of like a system that runs and bathes every other system with connection and energy. So our fascia is really important. And so I get people coming to my practice and they have an injury, let's say sciatic pain, or they come with a frozen shoulder, or they're coming with something else that's been hurting for a while. And normal exercise or massage hasn't worked very well. So they're looking at doing myofascial release to get somewhere. And the first question that they often ask is, well, how many sessions is it going to require me to take? How many sessions is it going to need to make this thing better, to let the pain go away? And this is a really interesting question for me because of a couple of things. One is that we aren't mechanistic in design. Our body has so much nuanced interrelationships with parts of ourself, with our world around us, with our stress levels, that it's very difficult to say exactly how many sessions it would take to solve a problem, because our body is not trying to talk to us in a way of how do we solve the problem. Our body is trying to communicate with us as a partner in our relationship. And so fascia doesn't respond in a linear fashion. So this is kind of hard to explain then when you say, well, how many sessions do we need? And often insurance companies and your financial situation might want you to find a number, like we want to have 10 sessions or 4 sessions and it's going to be better. So what I find actually is more possible to think about is what is going to encourage my body to talk to me today. How am I going to listen in a different way so that my body and I can have a better relationship? How could I be more curious? How could I create more safety? How can I have more vocabulary that I can understand, and understanding with my body? And often, as well, kind of a trust, right? Trust is a really important part of this relationship. And often in our body, we haven't had too many issues maybe in the past, and now all of a sudden your body has betrayed you by having this problem. And so you want to know, how do I fix it? And really the question is, how do I come into relationship with my body? How do I listen and have compassion with what's going on? And also, what am I willing to change about my life, about the way that I respond to the world, about how I think about myself? How much am I willing to let go of, or take a look at the belief systems and the kinds of overwhelming emotional states that I tend to live in? If I tend to live in a state of constant worry or distress, my body may not decide that that works for the body very well. And so, are we willing to look at how we move in the world? Are we willing to look at that type of depth of our inner workings in order to have a better relationship and to help our body heal? And when we are willing to look at that, if we come to a session with that kind of open, I'm curious, I want to know my body better, let's see what's happening, what is coming up for me in my dreams, in my subconscious, in the moments when I notice my body is reactive to something that's going on. Do you walk around noticing that, oh, every time I walk into my garden, my shoulders relax? Or every time I get in the car to pick up my kids, I feel tense, or my hip starts hurting, or whatever. These things are telling us subtly something about what's going on. And it's not as simple as this is good, this is not good. We have to look at how are we relating to it. I remember, I single parented 4 kids for quite a long time. And there were days when I came home and that was my body was like, I don't want to be a parent right now. And there would be a certain response in my body about that. My shoulders would be tight. I would have a tight diaphragm. And I still wanted to parent my kids. It wasn't that I was going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. But how could I do that? And how could I balance that with taking care of myself and also, taking a deep breath, taking an extra couple of minutes before I walk into the house after work and just giving myself a couple moments to really let go of my workday and put my mind to now I'm seeing my kids, that kind of thing. So working with the fascia is more about being open and curious to this relationship that is emerging between you and your body. And so sometimes one session can do an amazing amount of work, and you could feel like I've got connection, I feel alive, I can feel energy moving, I feel way better. And it may come in and out of the pain that you've been feeling. Sometimes it takes many sessions, sometimes 3 or 4 sessions. Usually 3 or 4 sessions will give you an idea if myofascial release is going to help, because you'll feel some shift. It may not last, but if it lasts even for a couple of hours or a couple of days and then a couple of weeks, this is something that's worth continuing on this path. And so, you keep going, and you may notice you have a slide back every now and then. And that gives you an opportunity to look at, well, why is that happening? What am I sliding back on? Where am I not being present with myself? So the presence and the safety and the curiosity that we come to this relationship with works to help make these kinds of sessions really work to the best of our ability. And I have noticed also with certain clients that, if there's been a stuckness, let's say, in working with the body for many, many years, it can take quite a few sessions. And then you may get that one session where everything shifts and you just feel like you're kind of born again, something different has happened. You may have many sessions of nothing and then a really transformational session, and then many sessions with not much happening again and another transformational session. Sometimes, people don't really shift until they get out of a relationship that's not working for them, or they change jobs, or they, radically cut down on their work hours, just in order to give yourself time to heal. Sometimes those types of things are necessary too. So this is just a little overview on the fact that there is no good answer to how many sessions will you need in order to overcome your problem. But I do believe very strongly, I've seen it work in so many cases, that this type of body work is really allowing consistent and long-lasting changes in the relationship with your body. And it leads to, once you're not in so much pain, it leads to a wanting to create more relationship in how you eat, how you exercise, how you balance your work life kind of hours, how you relate to other people, because you're learning how to relate to yourself. This is one of the foundational principles of how you relate to other people, to the world, to your life. So you're getting so much out of this, these sessions, in this practice of relating to your body, that I would say it's really, there's very little other therapies out there that work in this same way, where you're really creating relationship on all these levels that give you an ability to be more alive, be more joyful, be more filled with pleasure than this type of work. And this is why, as well, if you're interested in learning about this, my signature practitioner program has included myofascial release along with the somatic understanding of how emotions and nervous system states add tensions to the body and how our methods of coping in life have added tensions to the body. So working with this fascial release and this somatic awareness really gives you a great thing. So, if you're interested in that, do look me up on my website, pleasureforhealth.com, or ailsakepi.com is a great place to start. Just my name, AILSAKEPPIE.com. There's courses for practitioners, there's information for clients, and there's a link to my other websites there too. I'd be very happy to answer any other questions you have about this type of therapy. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day.